In history, we always had a group of people close to each other. With diplomacy, we want to give you all these tools to be able to interact with these empires, to create a bond and a link with them, a kind of an emotional link. We want you to have reasons to love or hate these other people and empires, to create these alliances or have to go to war with them.
What was really important for diplomacy was the stories that players would tell each other. If you look at, say, the First World War, what happened, it wasn't a direct engagement immediately. There were a lot of people getting roped in, alliances playing off against each other, negotiations. So, in order to be historically authentic, we needed to add a little bit more, more tools in the player's toolbox, things like bribe or propose, threaten, demand. The other thing that was very important for us was to make sure that everything was very, anchored in a physical space. So we're not talking, in general terms, a lot of the time we're talking about this specific territory here, don't colonize there, that's mine. We want things to feel, nicely immediate, We don't want to have sort of a round-robin vote of everyone deciding what to do. We want you to get feedback interactions, make things feel nicely quick, immediate, impactful.
When at peace, you can unlock various forms of cooperation by proposing treaties. The recipients can refuse, accept, or ask for money in return for accepting. You can also propose an alliance. If you are allied, you get the benefits of all the basic treaties, and you get to propose more advanced ones as well. If an ally is at war, however, they can call you to join. Refusing will allow them to break the alliance.
Your civilization needs resources in order to build units, to build infrastructures, and to boost its economy. You can acquire these resources either aggressively, by claiming territory and exploiting them yourself, or you can buy them from another civilization.
When a civilization's choices create a situation that is deemed offensive or otherwise unacceptable by another, a grievance is generated. These grievances can be forfeited to maintain positive relations, or they can be pressed to demand compensation appropriate to the grievance, transferring control of a border territory, paying a sum of money, changing a law or religion, joining a war, and so on. If the demand is refused, it can be used to justify declaring a war or breaking an alliance. Now, of course, you can also declare a surprise war without any justification, but your peers will tend to frown on you if you do so.
Once two civilizations have declared war, they'll need to think about their population's support for this war, or morale. This is a value that will tend to decrease over time because people get fed up with fighting a conflict. You can also damage the other side's morale by winning battles against them, by occupying their cities. Bombardment and ransacking also has an impact. And finally, if you're able to push the other side's morale down to zero, you can force them to surrender. And that is essentially, their population saying, we're so fed up with this war, we're going to make our leader, sign on the dotted line, whatever it is that you're imposing on them. In Humankind, your empire's choices with regards to events and the civics that you choose will define your empire's ideology. So, for instance, does my empire patronize the arts, or do we use professional soldiers or mercenaries? So depending on these choices, I'll have an ideology that will be defined, and we can compare the ideology of two different empires to define what we call a proximity. Based on this proximity, it will be more or less difficult to go to war or to sign peace treaties. So, for instance, two civilizations that are very close will have trouble maintaining a war, but it will be a lot easier to sign treaties because the populations feel a certain sort of brotherhood. Whereas if you're very distant ideologically, you'll be able to go to war very easily, but it'll be much more hard to sign treaties.
In the diplomacy of humankind, the possibilities are endless. Do you want to be a trade empire? Do you want to be friends with everyone and therefore not have to go to war? Do you want to create a culture that will attract the sympathy of all these other empires? Will you be feared by your neighbors because you do not react lightly to their provocations through crisis? It's up to you to decide how you will mark history as a leader.